Yeah, I'm happy to introduce Rick Coplen. Like Dennis said, he spoke to our Monday meeting a couple weeks ago. It was very well. It's all yours. I apologize for the noise in the background. I'm having some construction done in the house. Rick, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks very much. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen. If somebody could give me a thumbs up that once again you can hear me, and I will do this. Very good, thank you. This always takes a moment, so bear with me, and hopefully we'll make this work. I think we're getting there. So it looks like hopefully now you can see Amanda Palm. Could I get a thumbs up or two on that? You can see my screen, excellent. So I'm going to put that in the presentation mode. And there we go. So before I jump into that, well, I will ask you a question to think about. It's a real softball. And I like to make this, for those of you that have already heard me, you already know this, to make it as conversational as we can. And I'm going to start with a question. And don't answer it yet, because I want to give some other introductory comments. But who are we helping here? Who all are we helping here? This is a softball, but think about that for a moment. I want to give a quick shout out to your past district governor, Dennis Zubler. I was going to say that anyway, you know, a great district governor. And I know the year, of course, 2012, 2013, because that was the year I was president. So thank you very much for your leadership, Dennis. And you obviously continue to do that. I want to say a shout out to President Don. A very impressive billboard, sir, and all the other things that you're doing. I'd like to learn more about the Love Library campaign sometime, because I'm really focused on education. Among other things, I serve on the Carlisle School Board. I want to say thanks very much to Dave Hagg for joining me today, our fellow Carlisle Rotarian, fellow RVI guy, and of course he does a lot more than sharpen pencils. He also is our chief for our I'll call it our officer in charge for our mentoring program as part of RVI. In fact, I just happened to have put Dave's contact info into the chat box. You'll see a lot of info there, including my contact info and how you might help us out, not only with mentoring, but yep, I'll put it out there with financial contributions as well. Sarah Ryan and Marcial Limas. Wow. As always, the students are exceptionally impressive. These two particularly impressive. I mean, that long list of accomplishments and dreams for the future, and that's what we're all about with regard to veterans, are very impressive. I got to say, Sarah, real quick, you know, I'm a fellow high school, long ago, was a high school newspaper editor and all that. And I also, I got to tell you, I think past district governor Dennis Zubler knows this. At one point, long ago, like in 1975, I was a winner of the four-way speech contest in Tyler, Texas. And that was my introduction to Rotary. So part of the message there for both Sarah and Marcial is I hope that you both become Rotarians someday, because clearly you've got that service gene, and that's exceptionally important. And then, wow, Sarah, your dreams of becoming an aerospace engineer, I wish you the best of luck with that. I have no doubt you can do that. And for Marcial, all the science, all the background, all the service, it looks like I think you're the next Dr. Fauci on steroids with regard to everything that you plan to do, sir. Very impressive. And your Hispanic background, I will tell you very quickly, sir. Mi madre es de Mexico y de Texas. And I think most of you probably got that. My mother's from Mexico and from Texas. So that immediately resonates with me, Marcial, and I wish you the best of luck. Okay, more than enough intro, but thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to tell you a little bit about RVI. And I'm absolutely serious when I say, and I can resonate and certainly empathize with President Don as well. I'm a teacher, so I'm fine with stopping at any point, answering your questions, and having a discussion here. So what's the answer? This is a softball. Who are we helping here as we help Amanda Palm from HAC? And hopefully you've had a chance to read off. So who are we helping here? Somebody help me out.
Amanda, her son, and the community.
Oh, very good. That is the A++ answer. And you'll see that in our slides. And I don't know if you actually have, let me just ask, did you get these slides yet? Because I hope you did. If not, no problem. I did send them out so that you have access to them and particularly can reference some of the things. So did y'all get these slides? A couple of thumbs up, maybe? All right, good. Well, regardless, no problem. So absolutely right. We are undoubtedly helping Amanda, her son, and the community. And, we could go on and on there. Her future employer, her future employees, all sorts of folks. So let me go ahead now. We got something in the way up top, but I can see it in both places here. So what we're doing, and that's why I highlighted what you're doing. Obviously you're there at E-Town or reinforcing your two students. We're trying to do the same thing with RVI and set them up for success and actually provide some financial assistance in doing that. So we're investing in their dreams. And these are some students from Penn State Harrisburg. And I've got that down at the bottom there. You can see our mission statement. So what we're all about is helping veterans succeed by supporting their education, training, and job search opportunities. These are all people that we helped recently at Penn State Harrisburg. We gave Penn State Harrisburg $30,000 back in November. And that was when we officially provided. They had already started to disseminate some of these monies. And all these students that you see here are current, they're all current Penn State Harrisburg students. Mark Figueroa, let's see if I can get this to watch. He has a dream of becoming an Army Cyber Corps officer, and he's well on his way to doing that. He's in ROTC there. And of course, he was an Army before. And then we've got Nicole Lipthong. Her big aspiration is a PhD in neuroscience, and she's already doing some scientific research. In fact, to her credit, we can say that she's done some help with regard to COVID research. Alex Hill's a great guy. Oh, by the way, Alex just happens to be a member of the Rotary Club of Carlisle, and he's currently a bank manager here in Carlisle, and he has a dream of one day becoming a small business owner, and he's got 4 kids, so he hopes to help his 4 kids achieve their dreams. I'll flesh this out quickly with Steve Levine. He's got a service aspiration there, improve Pennsylvania and my community, and I can't help but highlight Carly Diffendorfer. I probably garbled that, but with her beautiful American flag on the back of a C-141. Oh, by the way, I've jumped out of one of those many times, actually. And her dream is to defend our homeland at the Department of Homeland Security. And she's already done that a little bit as an intern there. So just to give you a little bit of history, we started out way back in about 2011 as Helping a Hero. And Bob Egley and Don Jacobs were our core founders. And they got together and said, hey, unfortunately, at that point in time, we've got a lot of young soldiers and airmen and Navy people that are being significantly, seriously injured in Iraq and Afghanistan at that point. And they simply said, hey, we've got this group of folks that we get together, a group of investors. They weren't even Rotarians yet at that point. They said, let's just do a little golf tournament and see what we can do to raise some money. And they found this thing online called Helping a Hero. And then the really smart thing they did was they talked to some Rotarians in the Mechanicsburg North Club, particularly Clarence Asbury and some others. And then Clarence talked to our past district governor in our Carlisle club, Alden Cunningham. We talked to me and we talked to Bill Blankmeyer. You get the picture. You got the Rotary Network springing into action. We did the first golf tournament way back in 2011 and thought, and Bob and Don thought, standard golf tournament, we'll raise $15,000. We'll be happy with that. And of course, we raised over $100,000 the first year. And clearly, because I think everybody, to include the high dollar donors, knew that this was for a good cause. For people like, as you can see in the left-hand lower there, Sergeant Dennis Leonard and his son, obviously severely injured in Iraq. And also Jeffrey Campbell. And Jeffrey's up in the Altoona area, and we built a home for both of these gentlemen, spent about $300,000 to do that with some assistance from Helping a Hero National. And then in 2015, we said, okay, unfortunately or fortunately, no, let me rephrase that. Fortunately, the demand for those kinds of homes for these kinds of veterans in our area has somewhat subsided. And for a number of other reasons, we said we want to focus on something new. And we decided that was going to be education, training, and job search opportunities. Now I'm showing you Randy Raymer. Randy Raymer is quite a young man. He is 2020, so he just graduated from Central Penn College. He, in fact, was homeless for 2 years, and there's a long story there. I won't go into all that, but I will tell you that he was severely injured. He had some significant drug challenges. He was homeless for 2 years. He found his way out of that, thankfully. He got assistance from Central Penn College and some from us. We're not taking too much credit, but we definitely helped this young man. as a technology awardee and as a mentee. One of our folks, Ben Leitzel at the War College, where I also teach, helped him out. And he's on his way to becoming a certified recovery specialist. I won't go through all the other details there, just to highlight that he himself became the president of their student group, the AFA there, the Armed Forces Association Club there at Central Penn College. And he was the one that came up with this idea of doing an all-night camp out to support homeless veterans, raised a couple $1,000s. My key message there is clearly he's already got that service ethic and is already doing things to help not only himself, but other veterans. This shows you, this is a copy of the letter that he sent to us as a thank you way back in 2018, just to quickly highlight a couple key points. He's thanking us, of course. He's saying he's going to buy a new laptop with this. He's focusing on the IT field, but my key, the things that I love most about this letter that he wrote to us is, I hope to one day be able to give back to my fellow student peers, and your generous donations have made a lifelong impact. Obviously, all of that is music to the ears of we Rotarians, and particularly when we realize that he's already made good on that. In other words, he has already started to give back. So hopefully this will work. Turn up your volume as loud as it will go. And for a few seconds, I'm going to turn it over to Randy Raymer.
Thank you. So, something as this Marine Corps, I got injured. I woke up ready to deploy, and came home around that time when prescription narcotics were a big thing. I got pushing on narcotics, and that took me on a deep road for about 10 years. So, fast forward 10 years after using and abusing constitutional charges, and really struggling with everything to go. So, January 2018, I got myself clean. 6 months later, I decided to enroll in Coplen. I was on house arrest, I didn't go on, and that didn't really change their view or opinion of me. They were very welcoming. Actually, want to see me succeed. So I began classes and still kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing with myself. I was taking computer information systems as my major.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. We got a little bit more, and then I'll give you the context here, which I should have already done, but here we go.
There's a huge stigma in the world right now when it comes to addiction issues. Addiction issues are really hitting veterans harder, especially now we've got a pandemic happening. I read all about it with the full social distancing, and see a lot of people taking their lives and losing their lives, and I feel like I can make a difference. And Central Penn made that happen. They become a second family to me. RBI helped a lot. Their contribution.
Yeah. Well, I cut it off too soon, but you got the message there. A very powerful message from Randy Raymer. That was at the, we did a check presentation. I've got a slide in here later on which shows the picture of that with our masks on. But it was a very moving, and he stopped there for a moment. That was very emotional for him, obviously for all of us. But I think he conveys the message much better than I do. So hopefully you're able to hear that, and you can go back to it. So this is Chris Anderson, who is also a member of Central Penn College. In fact, he'll be graduating this year, we hope, a dual major in criminal justice and homeland security. And you can see his big aspiration. Well, those are his aspirations and his positive attitude there. So I just want to give you a little bit of, what our philosophy is and where it comes from. I'm sure that most all of you are familiar with this quote and this man. And obviously this is from Lincoln's second inaugural. To care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and orphan. And obviously this is at the end of the Civil War, just about to end. And Lincoln makes this as part of his second inaugural as he's attempting to think about how we're going to put the country back together. And obviously we're going to take care of our veterans in the process of doing that. So I'm sure many of you also know this is the mission statement for for the Veterans Affairs Agency here in the United States. So we thought, okay, that's one good way to think about this. Another good way, quite frankly, is that, because I'll be honest, we had a conversation back in 2015 and we had all sorts of different ideas about things that we could potentially do to help veterans. And we decided, well, let's think about making investments in our young people and in their dreams. And here you go. Here's obviously President Lincoln also, his thought about education. It's as simple as this is the most important thing we do in our society. So we put those together, and there you go. That's the Rotary Veterans Initiative, essentially. In other words, we're doing what we can to help veterans and their widows and orphans, but no, really, in this case, we're helping the veterans themselves and their families, like Amanda and her young son, helping them to succeed by supporting their education, training, and job search opportunities. We put all that together, and I would highlight, again, and y'all, you answered the question perfectly at the very first slide. Not only are we helping them, we're helping their families, we're helping their communities. We're doing so to help them get better jobs, more high-paying jobs, to be better employers and be better employees. They do have, as you can already see, some service-minded, ethic that's undoubtedly important, and they have helped, and we have helped students in all these different areas through HACK primarily for some of those like public safety and healthcare, and through our Employment Skills Center here in Carlisle. But even with regard to manufacturing and logistics, again, through our Employment Skills Center here, and one that's not on there, but is on a follow-on slide, is we've even helped a young man become an official truck driver. So we're trying to help people at all ends of the spectrum. Here's our steering committee. I'd highlight, we got good old John Anthony, our current district governor, has been on our steering committee now for about 5 years. So he's not a Johnny come lately to help us out here. He's been doing, and of course, is helping us tremendously this year to spread the word. And I would also point out Dave's name is on there, past District Governor Alden Cunningham, and many of our other key members. So let me not build this out too quickly, but just to give you just a little bit more detail, and then I'll pause and ask for questions. And I've got more to go here, but I don't have to cover all these slides either if you've already got them. So what are we focusing on doing? Helping support education, training, and job search opportunities for student veterans and other veterans, but particularly with those that are focusing on college degrees. And you'll see so far, we have helped students at Penn State Harrisburg, Central Penn College, HACK. One of the other ones that I'd like us to look at further in the future is Elizabethtown College, the School of Continuing and Professional Studies there, where, oh, by the way, I also teach there. So scholarships and mentoring. And Dave Hagg is here to chime in if he'd like to later on when we talk more about mentoring. I welcome that, Dave. We certainly have done that a lot, particularly at Penn State Harrisburg, but we've done vouchers for devices, for books. We've provided scholarships. You'll see more details on that. Vocational training, we've assisted with those things. Mentoring in all different areas, to include some of those that I just covered with regard to technology and manufacturing and nursing. And then this is our brand new one that I'm really excited to tell you about. And we are currently working on this. And I literally had a meeting yesterday with the chief executive of a place called Harrisburg Launchbox. And you'll see more on that in a moment. So you're familiar with that, Bob. So this is kind of the general concept in all the different areas that we're assisting. Some contact info. This is from the website for Harrisburg Launchbox, which is essentially a business incubator and let me just show you the next slide. This will help explain what our concept is, and you may have some good ideas. And again, this I want to highlight is a work in progress. We have not signed any documents. And believe me, when we go through all these things, we are working. We are, everyone always asks, we are a 501c3, and we fall under, got a little feedback there. Hopefully, can I get a thumbs up that y'all are still hearing me and seeing? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thanks. We are a 501c3 by virtue of fact that we fall under the Foundation for Enhancing Communities. And I'm sure many of you also know, oh, by the way, run by past District Governor Janice Black, another Rotarian. And they, of course, give us lots of good guidance. And they have the lawyers to vet all these agreements that we do with these colleges, and the one that we're about to work, we are working on. We're about to get really into the nuts and bolts of with Harrisburg Launchbox. So let me tell you about this, because I'm very excited about where I think this is headed. In other words, what we're trying to do here is the one thing that we've not done any on yet, really, and that is to help veterans start their own businesses, And the way we're looking at doing this is starting out as a pilot project with Penn State Harrisburg students and alumni members and potentially even faculty and staff members there. So that's our target audience to start with. I would highlight the bullet there also on larger community because we hope to be able to expand that as well. Then who are the partners? Well, obviously Harrisburg Launchbox, Penn State University, they were on the call yesterday as well, and they've been a big part of this. And the concept is basically, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with SCORE and probably also the Penn State Small Business Development Center. And the idea is they do some one-on-one mentoring and assist these young people work through and actually create a business plan. We're looking at potentially, I highlight potentially, committing about $7,500 to this effort. And I'll tell you how that is going to, I went the wrong way. Let me try that again. How that will be done. With the concept being, let me just go ahead and flesh out this entire slide. So you look in the top left corner there and you see, hey, we're looking to do a selection process. We have about hopefully 8 veterans as part of this initial cohort. We do an initial virtual session probably, although I would also highlight, we're looking to do this kickoff in September of this year, not in the next couple months. So we're working up and getting this all ready to go now. An introductory virtual session, one-on-one mentoring, where the students and or veterans are working with mentors from the SBDC and SCORE, putting together their business plans, then doing that for up to like 90 to 120 days. And they have a program for doing this already with Harrisburg Launchbox. Obviously, that's the reason for partnering with them. They've got lots of great experience in doing this sort of thing. And they go through that process. We do a pitch competition, a little bit of drama, a little bit of theater there maybe. Hopefully that works out well with some seed funding awards that we provide at the end. And then one of the great concepts we talked about yesterday was having that mentoring relationship continue and having the person that's gone through the program essentially report back to us with the possibility of some additional seed funding. So ambitious, yes. Hopeful, yes. Can we do it? No doubt in my mind with the partners that we have there. And now I'm just going to maybe speed through a couple of things here. There's a lot of data here, but I want to highlight, this is 2017, 2015 data. Shows you exactly the amounts we gave to each of these universities. I just highlight not only entering students, but continuing students, book vouchers, mentoring, device vouchers. The key is we went, and Dave Hagg was part of this in most of these cases, where he and I and Alden Cunningham and in some cases Jim Nolan and others went and talked to these students. We talked to the students first and some of obviously their administrators and got a feel for what each of the individual groups of students at these colleges really wanted. And so we did that. So that shows you, and let's see if we get it up. It went ahead too many times. There we go. Central Penn College. We delivered $15,000 to them in September. Enough on that. This is a photo for the history books, I think. This is in September. You can see we did an outdoor event, key point, outdoor event, masked, socially distanced, except for maybe a minute while we did this picture. And we got our police chief, Tara Landis, who's by the way, a Marine Corps veteran there on the left, and good Sandy Box, who's the key person there at Central Penn College. You see Randy Raymer on the right, and a few of us Rotarians in the background, pushing them all forward to success. Randy speaking. I'm cognizant of your time, and I'm ready to answer questions at any time. So let me just drive on toward wrapping up my presentation by there's Penn State Harrisburg details, HAC details. Here's a big picture. If you really love data, here you go. Bottom line, to date, we have helped 209 student veterans and counting with $145,000 worth of contributions that we've made to all those different elements. Some great thank yous from HAC students, Central Penn College, and this is where I'll maybe take a little bit more time and highlight, and maybe Dave, if you want to help me out here, feel free, sir. But this captures the essence of a few student veterans that we've helped through our mentoring program. And I'm going to highlight, of course, Randy Raymer in the top left corner. Then you see Steven Ziegler, Penn State Harrisburg Accounting. A couple of key points here, referred by District Governor John Anthony and working with David Blaine. And, oh, by the way, look at the name of that firm, McConley and Asbury. Asbury, that name should sound familiar. That is Clarence Asbury. He formed that firm way back in the 1970s, I believe. The great news story here is that guess what? Stephen got mentoring from us, got referred to this firm, and now works there. He's got a job there. So that's a tremendous, tremendous story. And then you've got people like Shay and Rory Elfatz, Penn State Harrisburg Mechanical Engineering, doing great things. And enough on that. Let me just highlight our mentoring program is voluntary, student veteran demand-based. And let me pause. I'm going to say thanks to District Governor Alden Cunningham, and he didn't give himself credit there, but Supervisory Special Agent, retired Dave Hagg. Dave, you want to add anything at all, sir, on the mentoring program? Of course, we're also asking these folks if anybody wants to help us. But Dave, you got anything for us, sir? Put you on the spot.
Just to say that when we first developed the whole concept of mentoring, we designed it so that it would be student veteran based, demand based, because everybody's got jobs to do and things to do, and so we wanted to not spin our wheels when we didn't have to, but we certainly wanted to help the people that were interested in having a mentor. So we get input from the students as to what particular field of endeavor they're interested in, and then if we don't have anyone in Rotary, for example, that is an expert in that, we can certainly have contacts and find people who are. This is what we did. You saw in the last slide. Being a retired agent with diplomatic security, when I found that Alyssa Abram was interested in computer forensics, I still had some contacts down in Washington. And one of the guys that I got in touch with, Sean McConnell, was able to kind of take her under his wing. And I think she actually went down there and got some hands-on stuff. So the program works. It's just a matter of kind of getting all the pieces together and kind of marching forward.
Okay, thank you very much, Dave. I appreciate that and highlighting your personal efforts there. And again, of course, we're saying to everybody on this call, you could help if you want, and you want to just raise your hand, and someday we may have somebody that's interested in your field of endeavor and point them in your direction. If you're interested in giving a financial contribution or advising someone else, that's part of the reason why I gave you these slides. You can push them wherever you want to, hopefully with a touch of a button. You can do that through this website. Again, it's a TFEC website, or you can send us a check. Or now we've got a feature that we're still doing a little bit more work with, but to give, and this is obviously targeted toward the Penn State alum community, which we're going to be reaching out to more and more. But if say you're a Penn Stater or you're anybody and you want to contribute and make sure that money goes to support a Penn State veteran, that's the next bullet there in terms of a website. Or, wow, this is high speed. I just set this up. You can get on your phone and text RVI to that number. Mentoring, you got it. Dave's the guy. I'm the backup. Other good ideas, send them to me. Here's another way to donate. And my last reel before the thank you is to highlight this new. It's not new, but it's something we're really highlighting. In other words, just like any other charitable program, normally you can make a donation and memorialize somebody in honor of somebody. And I want to highlight Stephanie Ackrey, who is a member of the Rotary Club of Mechanicsburg North, did this 5 or 6 months ago now. Time flies. She did it in the name of her father, who is shown here, Sam McGraw, World War II Navy veteran. And I read that, I saw that, and I just went, wow, very impressive. And we thought this is something we want to make sure people know. Yes, you can do this too. You can make a donation, honor a veteran. They don't have to be that long ago, but we're very excited about that. And Stephanie is now an honorary member of our steering committee. And looks like I may have skipped through. There we go. A big thank you from Amanda, and I will be quiet, listen to your questions, and more importantly, any good ideas you got for us. And I'll try to stop sharing if I can manage to make this work.
Rick, I think you covered a huge volume of material and so inspiring. Wow, what you're doing for our veterans, especially that number 207
209, 209, close
counting.
enough.
And
Over
counting.
200, yep.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic. Last call for questions.
I have a question
Or-
for Rick. In the beginning there, you talked about your golf tournament raising over 100,000. Are you guys still holding that? And if you are, what has your plan been with the pandemic?
Yeah, great question. We decided, I don't know, I lose track, 3 or 4 years ago, Dan, we decided, I think we've had enough of the golf tournaments. Number one, people just get tired of doing that after about 5 or 6 years. Number two, we recognize, we're competing with others. So we are not doing any more golf tournaments. We always could do another one, but I don't expect we will. We are doing some fundraising with regard, you obviously see the website, and we're going to make some more, we're going to do some more targeted efforts in that in the short term and the long term. You saw some of the things we're doing with Penn State. One of the things that I have a dream of doing once we're able to do so is actually having a dinner where we have a lot of these student veterans that we bring in and we honor, and we bring in sponsors, and you get the point right away of the intent of that kind of an event. We haven't made any plans for that yet. Of course, the pandemic hasn't helped, but I'm hopeful that someday we will do something like that and help us continue to raise good money. So great question. No more golf tournaments right now, but there you go, Dan. Great question. Thank you.
But my question has to do with the golf tournament. Any special secret you care to share? Because we are having ours in June. How did you do that? 100,000.
Yeah, the special secret's name is Clarence Asbury. And not to give him all the credit, but he deserves an awful lot of it, because just like any other golf tournament, clearly it's a huge team effort to actually put it on. But to raise that kind of money, how do you do it? You already know the answer to that. You have major sponsors that we've got a couple like the Stabler Foundation and others that were literally writing $25,000 checks. Not too many of them. We wish we had, 100 of those, but enough to help really bolster that bottom line of revenue. So that's how you make that kind of big money for most of that. And then, quite frankly, to be blunt but careful, it really, when you're saying essentially, and I didn't do this, but Clarence Asbury, I'm happy to do it in the future, although really what we're focusing now on are the students. But let's be blunt. You show a picture of a young man that no longer has any legs and say, we're trying to help people like this and his family and his son. That's very powerful. So it wasn't just Clarence Asbury's great presentation, but it's also a very good cause. Okay, you get the point. Yeah. Great question. That's my best answer.
I appreciate that. Okay, one last question before we close. All right, Rick, thank you so much for inspiring us and for all that you do for our most important citizens in our country, for sure. I'll look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you at the next one.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.